Welcome back to Cash and Sass, the podcast where we ditch the shame, talk real numbers, and build bold, bankable wealth without sacrificing who we are. I'm your host, Lisa Marie, fractional CFO, money mentor, and the sassy wealth queen behind Transcendent Wealth Company. If you are ready to scale with strategy, own your power, and finally feel wealthy in every sense of the word, then guess what? You're in the right place. In this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on what the 7 money pitfalls really represent and why understanding them changes how you relate to money. So let's dive in. Most people think money problems are random: bad timing, unexpected expenses, a slow month, a surprise tax bill, one decision that didn't work out. It always feels situational, like it came out of nowhere, right? But when you've worked with enough creators, business owners, and entrepreneurs like I have, you start to see something different. The stress. The stress is different. The industries are different. The income levels are different. But the patterns are almost identical, y'all, like completely identical. So this is where the 7 money pitfalls came from. They didn't come from theory. They came from me watching the same financial stress play out in different rooms with different people who all thought they were the only ones struggling. I can't tell you how often I would talk to someone and they would think they were the only ones struggling. I mean, how often have you thought that in any part of our business? I know I have. Like last year, there were many of us who were having a difficult time, but we weren't actually telling anybody because we thought we were the only ones. It's the same thing with money. I was seeing it over and over and over again. So, what exactly are these pitfalls? First, I want to tell you what they aren't, okay? The 7 money pitfalls are not tactics. They're not spreadsheets. They're not budgeting rules. What they are is they are patterns of thinking and behavior that quietly shape how money flows or how it doesn't. So, for example, one pitfall shows up as avoidance. You don't look at your money consistently, or you don't look at it at all. You avoid it. You figure if you don't look at it, it's not there. Don't have to worry about it. We pretend, we bury our head in the sand, right? That's avoidance. We don't want to acknowledge what's going on. We're going to turn a blind eye. We're going to do whatever it is, but we're not going to actually focus on what we need to focus on. You only look when something feels off, or by then it's like big off. So what happens is money becomes reactive. And we get in defense mode and we get in reactive mode, right? And that's the reason why it's a pitfall, because then what happens with the stress? It climbs, right? And it affects all areas of your life, our lives, like every area. Another pitfall shows up as misalignment. So listen to me on this one, okay? Money is going out in ways that no longer match your current priorities. But no one, meaning you, me, whoever, has not stopped and paused to look at it, determine, and realign it. We're basically just keep going. Money's going out, but it's going out to things that are no longer in alignment. Okay? And if we would stop and pause for a minute and look at the stuff and realign it, then we wouldn't have that pitfall. Another shows up as emotional decision making. You spend to relieve pressure, you invest to relieve insecurity, you delay to relieve fear. Like, how often have we delayed to take a next step because we're fearful of how much money there'll be, or what the unknown of what's next, right? Now, here's the thing. None of these make you irresponsible. So I want you to stop beating yourself up. Yep, you. I'm talking to you. Stop beating yourself up. I'm going to say it again. None of these make you irresponsible. They make you human. Now, left unchecked, these things can compound. Okay? And this is why naming the pitfalls matters. Okay? Because when you don't have language for what's happening, then everything feels personal. You start saying to yourself, I'm bad with money. I should be further along. Why can't I get this right? Beating yourself up, right? But once you can name a pattern, that shame loses its grip. So instead of what's wrong with me, it becomes, oh, I see what's happening. And then just that shift alone reduces anxiety because now it's not your identity. It's a pattern. And y'all, guess what? Patterns can be changed. How awesome is that? Once we make that shift, it reduces anxiety because that identity now becomes a pattern, and patterns we can control. Patterns can be shifted. They can be changed, right? So let me give you a real scenario that I see really often, okay? A business owner is making consistent revenue. And actually, this is someone that I have worked with, okay? She's making consistent revenue. Nothing dramatic, nothing scary, but they always feel tight. You know the feeling? Like they don't feel like they can excel. They hesitate on investing anything into their business. They won't do anything because they feel like the money will disappear. The money disappears quickly, or they're afraid the money's going to disappear. When we looked closer, when I looked at this with them, it wasn't overspending. It was allocation and confusion. Everything was going into one place and everything was coming out of one place. There was no visibility into what was truly available versus already committed. That's a pitfall. And think about this. She didn't have money set aside for taxes. So because she knew she would owe taxes and she's supposed to have the money, all the money was in the account, she wouldn't touch it. She wouldn't touch any of it. She only did the necessity because she was afraid of not having what was actually needed, right? She was worried it was going to disappear or she was going to touch it and then she was all of a sudden going to need it, okay? That's where that pitfall comes in, is there's no true visibility into what is truly available versus what's already committed. You can see the balance, but it's only in one account. And then your brain goes into overload of, oh, well, if I touch this, then I may not have it for taxes, or I may not have it for this, or I may not have it for the payroll. And so you just don't do anything. You stay stuck. Okay. Now, listen, the reason why it's not a pitfall because they failed. Okay. They didn't fail. It's a pitfall because no one ever showed them a better structure. We're taught in school a better way of managing money that's coming in and yearly expenses that we may need to be paying for if we have employees, for workers' comp, or for our liability insurance, or whatever it is, the softwares that we pay yearly for. They don't tell you all that, right? They don't teach you all that. Now, once I showed her a different structure and she was able to see it, relief almost immediately. And it's not because the income changed. It's because clarity. It's because she got clarity. Clarity changed. She was now able to actually see what was truly available versus what had already been committed. So now here's the bigger truth I really want you to understand. The 7 money pitfalls are really about 3 deeper things: awareness, intention, and alignment. When awareness is low, stress is high. When intention is missing, money feels chaotic. When alignment drifts, profit leaks. And when all 3 are strong, guess what? Money starts feeling a lot calmer. Okay? The thing that I want you to take away from this episode is, instead of asking, how do I fix everything? Ask, where am I unclear? Now, clarity becomes that entry point, because you're not trying to fix something that's broke. You're not trying to, quote unquote, fix something you did wrong or what you're saying you did wrong. Instead, you're asking, where am I unclear? So now clarity is becoming the point of the question. It's because, see, you don't fix money by attacking it. I'm going to say that again. You do not fix anything going on with money by attacking it. You fix it by understanding it. And most people skip that step because they're trying to move straight into action. I'm guilty. I've done it. I will hold my hand up and admit to you, I've done it. I am guilty of also skipping that step. And I can talk to you about it because I've reined myself back in. I brought myself back in and said, wait a minute, Lisa, where am I unclear? I've changed my question. And I'm making sure I no longer skip that step, because going straight into action is not the answer. We have to understand what's going on first. Okay? And the reason why is because action without awareness is just motion. You're just moving, but you're not really going anywhere. Awareness creates precision. So when you understand that money stress follows patterns, 2 things happen. First, you stop personalizing it. And second, you stop panicking. Because if it's a pattern, it's predictable. And if it's predictable, it's manageable. And y'all, we all know, if it's manageable, it's not permanent. That's powerful, right? That's also leadership. So this episode isn't about memorizing all 7 pitfalls today. And here's the reason why. Because action without awareness is just motion. Awareness creates precision. And when you understand that money stress follows patterns, 2 things happen. First, you stop personalizing it. Second, you stop panicking. Because if it's a pattern, it's predictable. If it's predictable, it's manageable. And if it's manageable, it's not permanent, right? Y'all, that's powerful. That's also leadership. Now, I want you to understand that this episode isn't about memorizing all 7 pitfalls today. It's about understanding that financial fog has a structure, even when it feels chaotic. When you understand this structure, you regain control, not by hustling harder, but by seeing clearly. Okay? So until next time, remember, confidence and cash are the ultimate power duo. Go check in with your money, and as always, have a fantastic and wealthy day.